Sam Altman is saying that ChatGPT is going to get a bit more human and a bit more personal. So, in a pair of posts this week, OpenAI CEO said the company plans to relax restrictions in ChatGPT that were initially put in place to prevent mental health harms. So, the changes will allow users to customize ChatGPT's personality. It'll let you do things like customize how it uses emojis, it can act like a friend, and it's going to start echoing again what many people loved about the 4.0 model, should you choose to have that experience. And Altman said OpenAI now has new tools to better mitigate serious mental health issues in the platform. And that makes it safer to bring back a more expressive, personal, and human like experience. So he previewed some of what they're thinking. There's some new policies arriving in December. They're actually going to age gate certain things, but also they have this broader principle, and this is where what you mentioned comes in, Paul, to quote, treat adult users like adults. That includes allowing verified adults to access more mature content. The specific example Altman gave was erotica, which, for the point that he then posted, drew way more attention than he expected and was just an example of allowing adults to choose how they use the tool. He also clarified after this that mental health safeguards remain in place and that minors will continue to receive heightened protection within the tool. But as he put it, OpenAI is aiming to balance freedom and safety without becoming, quote, the moral police of the world. So I guess, Paul, like these posts are not particularly surprising, I guess, from Sam based on what we've been discussing lately, but it really feels like we're on a slippery slope here where like OpenAI, the other labs are going to start mediating, for better or for worse, whether they want to or not, the types of relationships that literally billions of people can form with AI. Like, was that going through your head as you were reading these?
This is definitely the direction they've indicated they were going. I mean, this isn't shocking in any way to me because Sam has continuously said that the future of their AI assistants would be personal. And so we're just now kind of heading, I guess, more aggressively in this direction. So I'm going to read the two tweets, Mike, because I think so people have the full context of what was said and how it was said.
Yeah.
So Sam's first tweet was October 14th at around noon Eastern time. He said, we made ChatGPT pretty restrictive to make sure we were being careful with mental health issues. We realized this made it less useful, enjoyable to many users who had no mental health problems. But given the seriousness of the issue, we wanted to get this right. Now that we have been able to mitigate the serious mental health issues and have new tools, we are going to be able to safely relax the restrictions in most cases. In a few weeks, we plan to put out a new version of ChatGPT that allows people to have a personality that behaves more like what people liked about 4.0, referring to an earlier model. We hope it will be better. If you want your ChatGPT to respond in a very human-like way, or use a ton of emoji, or act like a friend, ChatGPT should do it. Parentheses, but only if you want it to, not because we are usage maxing, meaning they're trying to make the app more addictive and keep you on. He went on to say, in December, as we roll out age gating more fully and as part of our quote unquote treat adult users like adults principle, we will allow even more like erotica for verified adults. So that was the end of the tweet. So then there was actually one reply I saw in that thread, and it said from a user, why do age gates always have to lead to erotica? Like, I just want to be treated like an adult and not a toddler. That doesn't mean I want perv mode activated. And the reason I picked that one is because Sam actually replied to that one, and he said, you won't get it unless you ask for it. A second user said, about time, ChatGPT used to feel like a person you could actually talk to. Then it turned into a compliance bot. If it can be made fun again without losing the guardrails, that's a huge win. People don't want chaos, just authenticity. And Sam replied to that one. He said, for sure, we want that too. Almost all users can use ChatGPT. However, they'd like without negative effects. For a very small percentage of users in mentally fragile states, there can be serious problems. He then said 0.1% of a billion users is still a million people. We needed and will continue to need to learn how to protect those users And then with enhanced tools for that, adults that are not at risk of serious harm, mental health breakdowns, suicide, etc., should have a great deal of freedom in how they use ChatGPT. So that was October 14th. He then, about 27 hours later, on October 15th, tweets, okay, this tweet about upcoming changes to ChatGPT blew up on the erotica point much more than I thought it was going to. It was meant to be just one example of us following more user freedom for adults. Here is an effort to better communicate it, aka the communications team is now rewriting this, or GPT-5 is rewriting this, whatever. But here is what he then wrote. As we have said earlier, we are making a decision to prioritize safety over privacy and freedom for teenagers. And we are not loosening any policies related to mental health. This is a new and powerful technology, and we believe minors need significant protection. We also care very much about the principle of treating adult users like adults. As AI becomes more important in people's lives, allowing a lot of freedom for people to use AI in the ways that they want is an important part of our mission. It doesn't apply across the board, of course. For example, we will still not allow things that cause harm to others, and we will treat users who are having mental health crises very different from users who are not. Without being paternalistic, we will attempt to help users achieve their long-term goals. But we are not the elected moral police of the world. In the same way that society differentiates other appropriate boundaries, such as R-rated movies, we want to do a similar thing here. Okay, so just a couple of thoughts here, Mike. I think the key is there has to be a lot of trust in society and with users that technologically OpenAI is finding ways to solve this. Because as a reminder, chatbots are not deterministic systems. They are not software that just follows rules every time. They will at times just do what they want, and they can be led to do things that they're not supposed to do quite easily. So people who know how to work with these systems, even when they're designed or told not to allow certain conversations or to behave differently if it's determined that the user might be under mental distress, that does not mean that they're going to do what they're told each time. So each lab has to make choices on how their AI assistants are going to behave out of the box, which is kind of what he's saying here. We're putting more, imagine basically the system prompt says, if the user is behaving in this way, then don't help them go that direction, like bring them back to a better place. Or if someone that we believe to be a 13-year-old starts talking to you in an inappropriate way, you have to shut down the conversation. That is basically what is happening. They're telling the system to behave a certain way if a condition is met. But that's not how they really work. And so again, you can make it behave in a certain way, but it doesn't mean it'll always follow those rules. And then each lab is going to decide what that out of the box experience looks like and then how customizable those behaviors are. So XAI and Meta, for example, will likely push the boundaries of what is acceptable in society further than OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google earlier. Elon Musk, as we've talked about recently, has been very aggressive in the AI avatar erotica space, literally as a feature of Grok. Like he's tweeting this stuff all the time about, I don't remember the names of these AI avatars, Mike, but like you can basically have a relationship with an AI avatar, right, and Elon Musk endorses it. Google will likely be way more conservative on this side, I would imagine, or at least they're certainly not. I can't imagine Google tweeting that you can do erotica, but like maybe Gemini will enable it. That being said, I did just yesterday when I went into the Gemini app, Mike, and I don't know if you've seen this yet, it popped up and said, you can now personalize your experience using past chats to better understand you and your world.
Yep.
It's available in 2.5 Pro and coming soon to Live and Flash. And so I said, all right, cool, let's see what happens. So I go into the first chat and it pops up and it says, hey there, great to see you. I was like, that's an interesting way to start a conversation with an AI assistant. That it's almost like it wants to have the relationship with you now. And then it said, based on what we've talked about, here are a few fun things we could jump into. And mine is pretty boring, but Browns game day brainstorm, which is weird because I don't remember ever talking to it about the Browns. Your next big AI idea, which, okay, yeah, makes sense. And then AI powered wellness boost, custom workouts, healthy recipes. I was like, all right, yeah, those are probably things I've talked to Gemini about. So again, keep in mind, we're going to go this direction. Like there is no turning back here. That all the AI assistants are 100% capable of doing these things. These more we'll just come R-rated conversations. 100%. They are trained to do those things. The only reason they don't do them out of the box is because the labs have told them not to. Companies like Character.ai, however, will absolutely exploit what is likely $100 billion plus market, if not more, to build these AI companions and R-rated assistants. And this is totally where this is going. Now, Mike, not to put you on the spot here, but you had this conversation with Alex Kantrowitz, who was our opening keynote on the final day at MACON, big tech podcast, huge fans of Alex. He's, by the way, nicest guy in the world in person. So Alex was, if you do listen, like awesome to meet you. But Mike and Alex had this conversation because Alex has actually personally tested these. So Mike, I don't know if you have any context from your conversation with Alex about this.
Yeah, so Alex was raising really good points around the fact that this almost seems in some ways inevitable. You know, we were joking about how deep down the rabbit hole he went with testing these out, but he's testing them for a very real reason, which is that millions and millions of people are using them. The user bases for these tools are increasing, and they're a key part to understanding in his mind, I think, where some of the big labs and the big technology companies are going when it comes to, even if it's not romantic or kind of adult, with, like you mentioned, AI getting to know you and being essentially your best friend, your best assistant, your best coworker.
If you want it to be.
If you want it to be.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. But again, and we've talked about this on previous episodes, you just have to be ready. Like you may not choose to use these tools in this way, and that's fine. That's your choice. But the labs are going to give you that choice. And that means your friends, your family, your parents, your grandparents. Like we are nowhere near ready as a society for people becoming attached to these things. And so as weird as it is a conversation you have to start preparing yourself to have. I think I maybe mentioned this, but like with my own kids, I haven't directly, my kids know more about this stuff than the average teenager, but we haven't sat down and had like the heart-to-heart conversation about becoming connected with an AI assistant to the point where you're sharing, very personal stuff. I imagine it's probably a conversation I should be having, honestly. Like and I think what I've said on the previous episode is, even if it's not my kids, it might be their friends, like or it might be, someone in their class, and maybe it's like someone who's more introverted and they don't share as much and they don't maybe have someone to talk to. Like maybe that's the person. And so maybe my kids need to understand this more deeply so that they can talk to other kids, because maybe their parents have no idea to talk to them about. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like as a society, we're just so unprepared for this. And we know people are already doing this. I think it came up at MACON. Somebody said, there's been people who've like attended weddings of like humans and their AI chatbots.
Wow.
Like this is like a thing that's already happening. I haven't seen that story, but yeah, I mean, someone's saying like, yeah, this is like a thing we're seeing. So it's going to get weird, and we just have to be ready in some way.